¿Qué tal, Daniela? ¿Me oyes?
Maite,
Hola.
ahora sí ya, me escuchas. Me estoy tratando de meter también por el ordenador para tener la presentación.
A ver si te comparte, ¿no?
Sí,
Kiko, te tengo aquí, lo admito.
sí, por favor. Ya está, ahora sí.
¿Qué tal? ¿Bien?
Bien, bien, bien. Con harto trabajo, la verdad.
Sí.
Sí, sí, sí.
Claro, ahora queda abierto.
Claro, ahora ya empezamos empezamos por las noches, entonces se viene bastante trabajo. ¿Y qué es un chico o una chica?
Tenemos dos chicas, una que son juniors, ¿vale? Entonces, una está presencial y la otra justo encontró trabajo esta semana. O sea que se conectará un poco desde el móvil, desde el barco, ¿vale?
Ya, ok.
Entonces, pues bueno, son dos juniors, que es la parte, por eso dan solo la parte 1.
Ya, ok.
¿Mm?
Bueno, mira lo que sea, la verdad.
Sí.
A mí me viene bien.
Ajá.
Mira.
Luego cuando vengas ya hablamos, que llegarías a las 2.
Sí, me voy a ir corriendo, saliendo de
Sí,
acá.
tranquila. Yo hasta las
Sí.
2:30 o así, 3 menos cuarto, como máximo. Catman, no sé quién es, supongo que es la otra chica.
Sí, hay una chica que se llama Katy.
Hello, Katy, can you hear us?
Hi, yeah.
Very good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
Let's see if I find Catherine.
Perfecto.
Hello, Catherine. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Hi.
Good, good. Did you arrive on your new job?
Right.
Good, good. Then maybe we can mute you because of the noise. Okay. And then when you want to speak with Daniela for any, any questions or whatever, then you can put your sound. Okay. In this way, we cannot hear the sound of your colleagues and the noises. Okay.
Okay.
I
will switch off.
¿Puedes
Yeah.
compartir la pantalla?
Yo creo que sí, espérate, voy a abrir la presentación primero.
Sí. Sí, compartir la presentación, quería decir. We can, we will start now today the last part of the Juniors Stewardess pack. You did the bartending on Friday, and now today we will do the wines part, which is 1 hour teaching with Daniela. Daniela is our expert teacher. She's Michelin sommelier in a Michelin star restaurant and have wine education. It's a very expert in the sector. You will do the introduction to the wine world, a little bit of the varietals and knowledge about the wine that you can use. And it's very good later for, and there is the standards that they ask on the guest program for the junior stewardess. Okay.
So I'm going to, let me see if I can put. A ver, compartir pantalla y ya está, ¿no? Y ahora sí, ¿no? Ahora
Sí,
se ve.
ya la vemos. Can you see the screen? Okay. Good.
Sí.
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. Then I will now, Daniela, make you the administrator. That you
And
can.
can you hear me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Hold on, let me see. Daniela, te hago la administradora. ¿Daniela o a Kiko?
Sí,
Daniela.
sí, Daniela, mejor.
Vale.
Ya,
Okay.
perfecto.
I let you now with Daniela, and I will be here in the background and hope you enjoy the training, okay? We will speak later.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Kathy and Kath, right? Perfect. So maybe tell me about you a little bit more about what are you doing, what are your duties on the boat?
So I'm going on Thursday to join one as just a junior. Yeah, I'm excited.
Perfect. That is the best thing, that you are exciting.
Yeah.
And Kath, I cannot see you, Kath.
Creo que no nos oye Daniela because she's walking through the boat. Can you hear us, Catherine? No.
No.
Maybe later when she stopped, because she started today, I think. And now she's sitting. You can see the boat.
Ah, sí. Okay, so what yeah.
Catherine, can you
¿Empiezo
hear
ya?
us? Catherine.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then Daniela,
Yes. All good.
can you explain to Daniela a little bit your background and what is your new job and your background previously?
I used to work as a flight attendant in the first class. So we also had a training for the wine. We did the wine tasting and the wine and cheese pairing. And like the company was really taking care of our knowledges about the wine. Yeah, but because they didn't give us certificate, so I'm doing this course to get some new knowledges and certificate as well for working on the yacht, because I changed from the plane to the yacht. And now I'm a junior stewardess. I started 2 days ago. Yeah. So.
Okay, well, perfect. So the good thing is that you have, like passion or excited to start something new, and yeah.
Yeah. And also I did a lot of wine tasting. Like I went to Napa Valley and I did in New Zealand as well. And somewhere else, I don't even remember. So and I like wines. So that's why.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to start with something like the basic things for wine learning. So the first thing, you know what wine is?
Yeah, it's fermented grapes. grape juice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then goes through the aging, filtration, like many different process.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So, so yeah, basically a wine is a alcohol drink made with fermented grape juice. Basically that, and that is the first thing that we have to know. So, maybe you know more or less where the wines are produced. If you have any question, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do the presentation first, and then you can ask me whatever you want to. Okay? Well, if you have any question in between, you can do it anyway. It's going to be kind of a conversation more than like a presentation, actually. Okay? So the world wine production area always is divided in two. Is the Ecuador line in the middle, so you have wine production up north and in the south. In the south and up north is always from the parallel 30 to 50. In the past was 30 to 40, but now with the climate change, it changed a little bit. So it's 30 to 50. North and south. Why is this? Because in these curtains, you have certain characteristics. The first one is that these places make just one harvest per year. And that means also that it's a quality product, because the vine must rest for 1 year to give you like a good product to produce a good wine. Okay, there are some places, for example, in Brazil, that are maybe more tropical. They are doing wine as well, especially for sparkling wines, but they have like 2 or 3 harvests per year. It's not the ideal. Okay. Then the other characteristic is that you have you have all the seasons. You have winter, summer, autumn, and spring, and they are quite hard. Okay. Also, this is for mainly the plant. The plant is everything. Okay. The plant is everything. It's the most important thing. Well, the plant and the land, the most important thing to give a good vine. Okay. So you have the 4 marked seasons for the plant to rest all this time and to produce high quality as well. As I said before, high quality grapes. Okay, during the spring and summer season. And during the summer season, it's quite important the change of temperature between day and night. Must be, for example, if you have a difference between during the day you have 30 degrees, okay, in summer, of course, when the grape is developed. In the night must going down like maybe 15, something like that. The change must be really, really big for the concentration of the grape, basically. If you have these changes, like too heavy changes between just one day, the vine is going to concentrate everything, more colors, more aromas, more flavors, okay? Like this. So you have the parallel 30 to 40, north and south, 4 marked seasons, 1 annual harvest, and the high variation between the summer period, okay? Questions? No? Perfect. Okay, so as we said before, the wine is alcoholic drink. We have different parts of the grape, which are like really, really important. For example, the skin of the grape has all the color, of course, because if you take a grain of grape and you squeeze it, all what is inside is white, okay? And the color basically is in the skin. So in the skin, you have the color and tannins, okay? So the color will be anthocyans, that's the word in English, the anthocyans, and the tannins, okay? That is the astringency that we feel in our mouth. Then you have the pulp which is in the middle, which is basically water and sugar, okay? And then you have the pip, and in the pip you have tannins as well. That is the astringency of the wine, okay? In the stem also you find tannins. Now the vinification. So like this. Okay, so well, as I said before, the most important thing is the plant. If you don't have high quality grapes, you can't do any quality wine. Okay, you must have like a perfect bunch of grapes. Have you heard what happens in France and in Italy now that all the vines were frost?
No.
No.
It happens this harvest, the 2021, and it was like 1 month ago or something like that, and there was a big frost and all the vines die. So there is no the production today this year from those countries, France, Italy, and north of Spain, are going to be kind of not so many harvests,
So
and not so very.
no wine.
What?
So COVID, then no wine either.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe they have, but they're going to have like a low quality and less quantity as well, or maybe nothing. Yeah. Well, so for the harvest, so you have your vines. You have different ways of plantation of the vine. I'm not gonna tell you like more of this because we have like limit time, but we have different ways of grow the grape. Then you have the bunches that must be quite elastic. Pardon, sorry. Quite elastic, like quite must be kind of hard a little bit, the grape, okay, when you do the harvest. But inside, the seed of the grape, even is white or red, must be brown and crunchy, okay, the pip. Why? Because if you have like a crunchy pip, you are going to have like more smooth tannins. Not if you find something like quite green pipe. Also, because if you pick up the grape with the pipe green, the pipe gives you lots of like kind of bitter flavor. Have you ever tried when you try, for example, a grape and you eat it, the seeds? It's kind of bitter. It's kind of bitter. So for the wine must be the same. The pipe must be kind of crunchy, okay, to make the harvest. So you do the harvest, can be by hand or by machine. This is going to change the price, of course, of the wine and the quality. most of the time when you do a harvest by machine is because of the price, because you don't want to pay to, no sé, 50 people making the harvest, but you want to do it like quite easy and cheap. But there are some other times when you want to do the harvest as fast as possible in order to not to get like too mature grapes. Okay. So then you do the harvest, can be you can put the vine and the bunches of vine in little pots, okay, of 20 kilos, I think it is, I think as maximum. Why? Because if you have like lots of bunches, you know, like bam, 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 like this, like a tower, they start immediately the fermentation. Okay, so they must have like they cannot press each other. Okay, in the process of harvest, that is also very important, and that is why you put the vine, in these little baskets. Then you do the press. This is, remember, for the whites. You do the press. That the press is actually a stainless steel tank lying down. Inside it has a balloon, kind of balloon, and in between the balloon and the stainless steel, you put the grape. Okay, without a stem, without anything, just the grains. Okay. When you put the grapes between, the balloon start to expand inside and start to make a press like super soft in order to not match the pipe, okay, because of the beater, remember? Okay, so you get the juice, and this juice goes to the fermentation. And the fermentation basically is in the stainless steel tank. You add yeast, okay, and start the fermentation. Now, the yeast also, it depends of the type of wine that you want to produce. There are some wines that you fermented by yeast, and there are some others which are made with the native one, the one that we have. Actually, for example, in our skin, we have yeast as well, and that is why we get old, sadly. So, girls, the creams are super important. Hydration and everything is super important. Okay, so so you have the fermentation. The fermentation is over, and it depends of what the winemaker wants to do. If they want dry wine must it means that has no sugar on it. O sea, the minimum is 3 grains of sugar per liter. That's the minimum. Okay, so that is considered a dry wine. But there are some producers that maybe want to leave a little bit more of sugar content, like 7, for example, 7 grains per liter, or a little bit more. So what they do is to stop the fermentation. To stop the fermentation, you can add alcohol. For example, for the fortified wines, they do it like this. But if you want like a regular wine, but with sugar content, you have to decrease the temperature, because when you do the fermentation, the temperature increase a lot, and you have to control the temperature. And if you want to stop the fermentation, you have to low down the temperature as maximum as you can, okay, to stop the fermentation and to have this 7 or 8% of grams per liter of sugar. Okay. And then you have the possibility to leave your white wine, for example, if it's a good quality of white wine, you have the possibility to take you to age in a stainless steel tank as well, doing maybe a batonnage with the dye yeast, because in the fermentation it remains kind of yeast, so that gives a little bit more structure and more creamy wines. Or you can age in barrels, okay, in oak barrels. It depends on what the winemaker wants to do. And after that, well, of course, the bottling and the release. Okay. Questions? No?
And they don't do any filtration or something like to?
Yeah. After the fermentation, you have the possibility to do also the filtration. Can be, or just by ¿cómo se dice? Well, with natural filters that can be like can be egg whites. Okay, they use egg whites to clarify. They do it just like to wait for a while, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, to everything decant down, and then they do this is like a natural filtration. Or you have different like filters, but these are like industrial filters. So it depends on the type of wine. If you do, for example, wines for the supermarket, most of the time it's going to be this kind of industrial filtration. If you want to produce like a little bit more exclusive wine, it's going to be as maximum as natural as maximum possible. Then for the rosé, for the rosé, for example, well, remember that I told you that in the skin of the grape has all the color. So what you do is the same process. You have the vineyards, you take the grape. To produce rosé, you can do it in different ways as well. The first one is to do it with just red grapes, but there are some other wineries that do a blend, but with the grapes, okay? A blend with the red and white bunches of grape, okay? And they do the fermentation together, okay? Okay, so when you do the rosé, you, of course, smash a little bit the grape. Before start the fermentation, you wait just for a little bit of the maceration, and the maceration is going to give you the color. Okay, the contact of the skin of the grape with the juice is going to give the color. So it depends. If you want more color, you leave it more hours. If you want less color, you leave it a little bit less. Okay, and then you take the skin off, and then you do the fermentation after that. Okay, so you can do it that just with totally with red grapes, or if you do the blend, must be the blend of grapes, not the blend of wine. You cannot blend white wine and red wine. That's prohibited. Okay, it's not under any denomination of origin. Basically, the rosé, it's like super super simple, we can say, to produce. Okay. And do you know where exactly the rosé, I mean, the origin of the rosé is?
South of France, no?
Yeah, it is. Well, actually, mostly all the wines has the origin in France by the books.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the sun of Provence, you know where are all these fields like super beautiful of lavender? Lavender?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the place. You know, all the Instagrammer with the fields of lavender and everything and the glass of rosé. So from that place belongs the rosé. That is Provence. Okay. Then we have the, okay. The process of the grape of the red wine is almost the same as I told you before. Sorry. Ya está. When you have your grapes, always quite healthy grapes. You made the harvest by hand or by machine. It goes, well, you can ferment your wine. It depends of the winemaker. You ferment your wine just the grape, just the grape, or the whole bunch. Okay, also is a different, and there is a lot of difference about the vinification, but I'm going to tell you just like the most simple one. So you take just the grapes for the fermentation, goes to the stainless steel tank. Always add some yeast to produce the alcoholic fermentation. Then you can press the wine. And sometimes when there is a high quality wine, for example, all the pressed wine goes as well to this wine. Okay. I remember, for example, when I was working in a winery, and they have like a super premium wine. And I asked to the winemaker, and he said, no, see, all the pressed wine is not bad wine, because this pressed wine is made with this very good bunches of grape. So all of this is going to give to the wine a little bit more structure, more complexity, more tannins as well. So they added. Then, and then you have different ways of aging. Can be in concrete, in oak, as I said before, in inox. And in inox, for example, most of the time it's like like cheap wine, the wine that you maybe want to enjoy, and just fruity and just simple. All of this is put in the inox. Then you have amphora as well. The amphora is one of the first aging pots that was in the Egipto, creo. Yeah, it was like they are found lots of them in Egypt. So for the aging of the wine. And the oak, there is also a world of oak, because it's most of the time is made. What happened? Well, most of the time they do with French oak or American oak barrel. But now they are trying another type of oak from another denominations of origin. Okay. And also, for example, the oak, what they do, the wood, the difference, like big difference between American and French, is that the American, the tree, grows in about 50 years. but the French oak grows in about 250 years or something like that, or 200. So the pores of the wood are going to be a little bit more small in the French and a little bit bigger in the American one. So when you do the aging, also the percentage of wine that you lost in the aging is going to be a little bit bigger in the American one, okay, instead of the French. So it's also, and it's really, really expensive, the French oak, actually. It's like, I don't know, it's like the double. For example, the American is so 250 US dollars, and the French one is 500. Okay, so well, after the so you know, we're going back. We have the alcoholic fermentation and we do the press. Later, you can do a malolactic conversion, which is to turn malic acid, which is like similar to the green apple acid, to a little bit more lactic acid. Actually, there are lots of wines, when you taste it, sometimes smell like kind of lactic, like kind of yogurt, for example. Okay, and it's because of this process. This process actually is natural. It's not something that you can control, you know. And it's well, you can control it also for the temperature, but most of the wines has the malolactic fermentation, and then goes to the aging process, and then to the bottling. Sorry, and then to the bottling, and then if you want to, there are some wineries that store the wine, or there are some others that just like release. Okay, it depends of the quality as well. If there is a wine which goes to a supermarket, like super simple, kind of fruity, you don't have to age or storage. You just like deliver to sell it immediately. But there are some other wines that maybe the production is not so many, the quality is quite high. You can store it and then release it. Okay, it depends on the winery as well. Questions?
Can I ask a question, please? I just don't understand, like when you do this molyactic, lactic, like the normal process, you said you just harvest, then fermentation, then aging or filtering. And when these reactions going on, is like depends if they want to do it or not, or?
See, a ver, the malolactic fermentation is something that happens all the time. But there are some wineries that try to do not do it because, for example, you have a super hot vintage year. Okay, you have super hot, it's like 40 degrees outside. So what happens when you have lots of sun? When you have lots of sun, you have more percentage of sugar. Okay. And when you do the fermentation, maybe the acidity of your wine is not so very high. The acidity in a wine is like our column. Okay, if you don't have acidity, the wine is dead. Okay, it's always it's the same as the fruit. Actually, if you eat a strawberry and the strawberry has just like sugar, it's like nothing. It's like a jam, you know. But the fruit must have some acidity to, you know, like to keep alive. So with the wine, it's the same. So if the vintage is too hot, you need to avoid the malolactic conversion. Okay, and how you avoid it? you just have to play with the temperature. Always have to play with the temperature, because if the wine reach certain temperature, I don't know, I think it's 25, 24 degrees. If it reach a little bit more, you have automatically the malolactic fermentation. Okay, and this is in between. After the alcoholic fermentation, then you do the malolactic fermentation. So,
Okay.
yeah. But if you have a good year, for example, what you do normally is just to leave the wine in oak or in oaks. The malolactic conversion is going to happen anyway, and this process is going to smooth the wine. Okay, if it's a good year.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Then we have the champagne. Where is champagne?
France.
También, always. So it's in up north.
Champagne province.
It's actually
Champagne. Yeah.
Champagne. Where is Paris, which is up north, almost in the middle. If you put the map like in front of you, so it's Paris, and a little bit more north of Paris, to the right, you have Champagne. So this wine is a wine actually with a second fermentation, and that is why you have some bubbles on it. Okay, the traditional one, which is champagne, the champagne always is from France. You cannot produce champagne in Spain or champagne in some other, because it's a matter of denomination of origin. So you have the champagne, you produce it with the 3 different varieties. It's a Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. So as you can see, for example, there is the Chardonnay, which is white, the Pinot Noir, which is red, and the Pinot Meunier also that is red. Okay. What they do, they make the harvest, of course, is separated. Okay. The vinification is also separated, no? The Chardonnay, the Pinot Noir, and the Pinot Meunier. Then, after the fermentation, you make the blend, as appears in the scheme. You make the blend with the different wines, and also depend. This is going to depend of the vintage year. For example, if you have a good vintage year, okay, you're going to make maybe a blend of, no sé, 40% or the equal percentage of all of the varieties. But for example, if your wine needs a little bit more acidity, you are going to add a little bit more of Chardonnay. On the contrary, if your wine needs a little bit more volume, you give a little bit of Pinot Noir. Okay, this is going to depend on the year. So you make the blend, then the tiraje is sugar and yeast. So this is the you know, like the pipe, which is right here. So you put a little bit, you close it with this coronita tap. You know it? The coronita, the beer, the coronita beer. You know? Yeah. Well, the tap.
Corona.
Corona. Yeah, right. Okay. Here in Spain, you know that it's so funny because you cannot set Corona. Here is Coronita because Corona is like a brand which is by the king, ¿sabes? Bueno. Anyway, so you close it with the Corona tap, and it produces a second fermentation because of the sugar and the yeast that you add. Then you keep it for a long time to leave this process, and then you, when past maybe, you know, say 1 year, 2 years, it depends of the winemaker, you open it, and always it's going to take a little bit of wine. Okay, so you open it, you add a little bit of dosage, okay, and the dosage is going to be just the natural blend that you already made at the beginning, or you can add a little bit of sugar, and this sugar is going to give the name of the champagne. If it's brut, brut nature, dry, semi-sec, and so on. Okay. When it's brut nature, for example, is the driest one. Then you have brut and so on. It's different, for example, because in champagne you have different quantity of sugar content. And in Spain you have another names and another sugar content as well. Okay. Okay, so you have this type of process is called the traditional method, okay, or champenoise, which is made the second fermentation bottle by bottle. There are some other process like tarmat. The tarmat is made in a stainless steel tank. Okay, it's the same. You do a second fermentation, but in a stainless steel. Okay, and well, basically that. In Italy, for example, they do something similar, kind of bubble wine, which is made with the tarmat method. Okay. Italia, they can do anything they want. So, for example, in this summary, you can read the differences. No, so champagne is just from France. They do with this method. There are these varieties and the type of the sugar content. The cava is always in Spain. There is not just one place in Spain where you can produce cava. You can produce it in here. Is the biggest production in Catalonia, but also you have in Rioja, for example, you can produce. In the south, you can produce cava as well. And in Italy, as I said before, they have another method, which is the tarmat, and they are made with another varieties. Okay. Then, a ver. Aquí. Bueno, aquí. So as I said before, like, kind of like give you like an idea. For example, there is the Bordeaux zone, which is like the most popular one in France. They produce like a very kind of bold and structured wines. Most of the time, they do it with the variety Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot. Yeah, Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, these two. Then in Loire, a little bit more up, you have all the whites, especially Sauvignon Blanc, okay? And yeah, and Chenin Blanc as well. This is like the biggest percentage. You read this before, right? So, you know, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, here, you know, it's Paris, Champagne is up north a little bit, and you have the production of champagne, basically. Alsacia, which is a border to Germany, they produce Muscat, for example, but they do it with the like the dry version of Muscat. And this Muscat is not like Italian one, for example, has nothing to do. It's a very good and fine and super prestigious wine. Burgundy, which is the area of the Pinot Noir, and the Chardonnay. Okay, the Pinot Noir is super light. Between the red wine, is the most lightest one. Okay, between the red and Provence, as we said before, which is all the rosé production area. Mostly, they do the rosé with Garnacha, Grenache. Okay. Well, Italy is totally full of wine. I see, like in general idea. For example, up north you have all the white area. The Friuli, Venezia Giulia, and Veneto. You have also the production of the sparkling, okay, of the bubble one. Tuscany is the most well-known denomination of origin in Italy. Also, like they produce like a very concentrated red wine. And in the rest of Italy, for example, in the south, in Sicilia, they do like a super kind of alcoholic wines. Okay, just because of the sun, because it's like too sunny, so they have like very powerful red wines. And in Puglia, Puglia in this area, you have also production of whites. White, very, very good. And Gatinara, I think, is one of the varieties. Super good. Well, in Germany, you know, here you have the Alsacia. And right here, you know, Germany, for example, has lots of production of Gewürztraminer, Riesling, this type of variety. Most of the time, you're going to see it immediately because it's a long bottle, super green bottle. And most of these wines are super aromatic, floral, super floral, and has a little percentage of sugar on it. So for example, if you want to start to drink wine, never start with the red like a superpower wine. You always try to start with something light like this, because this type of wines, the Riesling and the Gewürztraminer, as I said before, in Germany, this type of varieties are a little bit easy, but you know that you are drinking quality. Okay, the next day you are not gonna have a headache or whatever. You know, it's like quality wine, and then you can start with some others. Well, Spain. Aquí. Ahora. You have, of course, Catalonia, where you have lots of denominations of origin, especially, and the most popular one is Penedès, okay, where all the cavas. Then you have Navarra and Rioja up north, which you make like powerful reds. Ribera del Duero, also powerful reds, made especially with the variety Tempranillo. Rías Baixas, production of whites, kind of floral, and I like it a lot. The variety is Alvarinho, and they are super good. I like it a lot. Then you have Rueda, which the most popular variety is Verdejo. Not very fun. It depends of the producer. And and Jumilla, Yecla, Alicante, they produce also super power, lots of fruit, high concentration reds and sweet wines. And for me, the most important one in Spain in general is the Jerez denomination of origin. These wines are super different from whatever you taste. It's this wines actually has a little bit high percentage of alcohol because they do this process. No, so in general, is to make a wine and to stop the not stop the fermentation because they are super dry, but they add alcohol. Okay. Well, the process of the Jerez, we can take it to the level 2. The level 2 I can explain you better because it's super. There's a lot of things to explain there. So here, for example, I'm making a scheme as well of the lightest to the boldest, white and red, okay? With this scheme that you can see, you can also make the food pairing, okay? For example, if you have some Sauvignon Blanc or Chenin Blanc or Pinot Grillo, for example, but I will say Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin Blanc. This type of wines or variety is light good acidity whites, okay? Most of the time are dry. And for example, for a salad, so for all the starters are super, okay? Then the Pinot Grillo, Alvarillo, Godello, Muscat, these are a little bit more aromatic. So these are a little bit more gastronomic. And then you can white pair it with soft cheeses, for example. Not something so lemony, but maybe something a little bit more creamy. Okay. As I said before, soft cheeses or what else is como like an aperitif. Something like kind of crunchy. Well, I'm going to remember now. See something like to. Here, for example, in Spain, we have something which is called buñuelos. Buñuelos is it's a crunchy bowl that inside has fish, but fish and cream kind of super soft. So this
Arancini. I think it's arancini, no?
I don't know. Here is called buñuelo, and inside is most of the time is fish, but you can do it of meat as well. Yeah, kind of like ham, like Iberian ham, for example. These are delicious. So yeah, it depends. If you do something with fish, like kind of creamy fish, with these ones, Pinot Noir, Alvarinho, Godello. But if you taste some Iberian ham buñuelos, the croquetas, that will be better with something like Verdejo, Riesling, Gewürztraminer that are a little bit more heavy, or even the Chardonnay is also very good. Then the Pinot Noir, as I said before, is the lightest of the red, Mencia as well. So for example, for a fish, a blue fish, for example, tuna, for example, all of these are just perfect. Then Garnacha, Carignana, and Cabernet Franc, they're a little bit more like medium body, but it depends on the place where you grow the grape. Like medium body reds. Mostly all this type with maybe kind of moussaka, kind of pasta with tomato, this kind of dish. Sangiovese, Barbera, Merlot, Nebbiolo. Also, there is another variety which is called Carmener, which is like very power as well. Maybe with some meat, but game meat. Okay, you can have it with game meat as well. Pinot Noir as well goes very good with game meat. And Tempranillo sin Pandel and Cabernet Sauvignon, of course, with something like quite heavy, a filet mignon, for example, or this type of meat. Always, the key is from the lightest to the boldest is the same as the food. Okay, from the lightest to the heaviest food. Okay. Questions?
No.
No. Okay, and well, what you have here, for example, is the vinification method and style. Well, and it appears like what it is, every variety. I mean, the description of the variety. This is just basically read it, okay? Because, for example, well, varietal is a concept which has two senses. The first one is what appears here, that is varieties just from one variety, like Chardonnay 100%, Cabernet Sauvignon 100%, Merlot 100%. But for example, there are some other places, like if you go to South America, or even I think in the United States, they do it as well. When you talk about varietal, means a cheap wine, a young wine. Okay, so okay, by vintage, the vintage is the vintage year, basically. Okay. And it appears the first one that appears is the Albarino. Remember that I told you that is one of my favorites wine here in Spain. It's super, I don't know, it has like everything. If you taste like a very super good Albarino is like quite floral, is super mineral and long in mouth. The acidity is just perfect, and yeah, like it a lot. Yeah, and the Chardonnay from between the whites is the one that has more structure. Okay, and of course it belongs to the Chablis area, which is, remember that I told you it is which is Burgundy. Burgundy, it has two main varieties, the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir. Okay, so it's where it belongs. But this is basically something that you can read, for example. For example, if you see in the bottle the Pouilly Fussé, you're going to you have to remember that Pouilly Fussé is a wine made with the Chardonnay variety, and it's made from the Macon region. Okay, and it's super well known. For example, if you work as you work with the with high level clients, for example, this client must know this type of wine, the Pouilly Fussé. So for example, if they ask you for a Pouilly Fussé, you must know that it's a Chardonnay, and the Chardonnay is one of the boldest and heaviest variety. Okay, that has more structure. So for example, if they ask you for this type of wine, actually are super elegant, even has structure, and it goes well with mostly everything. Actually, even if you can have like a meat tartare with this type of wine. Okay. And also, Chenin Blanc is a very well known for this type of clients. So the Chenin Blanc is a white wine made with Sauvignon Blanc. Okay. Perdón. No, it's not Chenin Blanc. I was this one over here.
Pouilly-Fumé.
Sí, el Pouilly Fumé. Pouilly Fumé is in the north of Bordeaux. In the north of Bordeaux, you have the Loire, Most of the time they work with Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin Blanc. And this wine is made with Sauvignon Blanc, okay? From the Lorbai. And if you know that this wine is made with Sauvignon Blanc, the Sauvignon Blanc is quite light and has a good acidity. So will be better, for example, for starters. Okay. Well, Riesling, as I said before, that is from Germany, and the type of wines that they do that are, remember, that is the long bottle, super green, kind of sweet. And so on. Do you have any questions?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No, Kath?
No.
No? Okay. So, well, anyway, I'm going to tell to Maite that if you have any question or whatever, you can ask me. I have no problem. Okay, if you, for example,
okay.
something and you said, Daniela, mira, this is not very clear for me. Can you explain better? No sé qué. I can give you a.
Yes, you can send an email to training@barcelonacrew.com with the name of the course, and we will reply with Daniela expert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
There is the varietals here, I see. And you are almost finished, ¿no, Daniela?
Ya estamos, ya, pues lo demás son como...
Then you have a relation of the varietals with the explanation of each one. That
Sí,
this
sí,
is
sí,
that you
bueno.
can find in the bottles.
Sí, sí. Bueno, a ver, basically, some, for example, super well-known wines as these ones. Most of the client at this level, they must know the Pouilly-Fuissé, for example,
the Polyfumé,
the Polyfumé, you know, and that they know
Chablis.
the Chablis, the Chablis with the Chardonnay also as well.
Exactly. Semillon.
Sí. Sí. So, well, I don't know if you don't have any more questions.
No, all good.
Well, it's
No?
a bit of introduction, and then if you want to become an expert, we have the level 2, which is more with diploma also, and it's more for the tasting and wine appreciation, and then more on the construction of a menu list for the yacht, recommendations for the clients, then one pairing and everything. This is the level 2. And maybe you can take next season.
It's super good. We do a tasting, a wine tasting at the end with some, we pair with some cheeses. It's quite funny.
Okay.
Yeah, and also it's a lot of study, and you will need more time for the level 2. It's a lot of maybe a couple of weeks of study on the platform, and then the live session of 4 hours. Okay. Okay, girls. Very good. Then rest, Kate. We wish you the best for next week or this week in your new shop.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And also, Catherine, you are already on board. Hope you have a wonderful season.
Thank you.
And we will be delivering the diplomas as you are 100% in the platform also between this afternoon and tomorrow morning. We will send to you a scan of the diploma. If you want to us to send the hard copy, we will be here in the office in Barcelona. We will send you a link for posting a mail, the hard copy, okay? Can be to the boat or any place.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for everything, to stay here and for listening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks
Bye
so much.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
¿Qué tal, Daniela? ¿Bien? Bueno, es
Bien,
cortito
bien,
porque
bien.
es el One Introduction, además son juniors, es casi un poquito
Sí.
menos que el otro.
lo bueno es que, bueno, la Kat, por ejemplo, preguntó más. Ella sí
Sí.
preguntó. Pero la otra chica estaba súper atenta, ¿eh? De repente yo miraba la cámara y yo decía, no estará con la cámara esta de que como que la tienen ahí prendida, pero no, porque la veía que estaba pestañeando y estaba como súper atenta. Así que bueno, bien,
Sí.
ojalá que hagan el segundo.
Sí, claro, sí, sobre todo después, claro, ahora estas son juniors, entonces después ahora tendrán que trabajar esta temporada que las dos acaban de empezar y luego la temporada que viene es como la Daniela, como aquellas chicas que vinieron que ya vienen cuando ya llevan un año trabajando o así, ya quieren hacer el segundo si quieren progresar, claro. Luego hay gente que se queda
No,
tan
pero
justa.
yo creo que, o sea, no sé, pero por lo general cuando uno da así como este tipo de clases, sobre todo con vino, no sé por qué, pero como que la gente igual engancha, le gusta,
Sí,
porque
claro.
quieren
Sí,
seguir
sí.
aprendiendo, sí, así que
Claro, además
sí.
nosotros quedamos el certificado, que es lo que te ha dicho ¿cómo se llamaba? La Caterina, que en muchos sitios, a ver, las
Claro,
clases
claro que
también
lo
de
dan.
aficionados dan en todos sitios, ¿eh?
Claro.
Esto de hacer un tasting en una bodega, de aquí, de allá, pero a ver, eso no es formación, es un poco de
No,
knowledge, pero
claro.
no es.
No.
Y la plataforma también, sobre todo en Level 2, hay una cantidad de contenido que, ¿te acuerdas que Daniela que ya estaba muerta en el examen? Porque
Sí,
claro, es que el level tuyo es alto, ya es mucho, entra el terroir, entra todo el tema y sí.
Sí, no, sí, harto, pero sí, ella estaba súper preocupada de que, ay, pero ¿qué es lo que me van a preguntar? Y que no sé qué, estaba.
El
Sí.
Iván, aquel señor también, el capitán también fue majo, sí, también lo aprovechó el curso.
Sí. Al
Sí,
final ahí
sí.
estaba tomando de todo, abrió toda la botella.
Ay, Dios, de verdad.
Oye, te iba a decir porque yo creo que, o sea, si salgo ahora corriendo de la casa,
Y está lloviendo, ¿eh?
ya, no, bueno, ahora ha parado, creo que paró.
Podemos
Pero sí,
hablar por aquí si quieres.
sí, yo creo. Porque, bueno, de todas formas, a ver, yo tengo solamente hoy y mañana para poder ir a la oficina a buscar la paga, porque los otros días, ya te digo que estoy hasta...
No, ya me lo imagino. Claro, ahora que habéis abierto estará todo. ¿Quieres venir mañana?
Sí, porque
Yo
es que yo
mañana
creo
estoy por la mañana desde las 10 hasta la 1 o así.
ya, perfecto. Pues sí, entonces mañana. A ver, a mí me conviene, o bueno, puede ser hoy por la tarde también, no sé si puede
Lo
hoy
que
por la
pasa es
tarde.
que hoy no estoy porque me quiero plegar a las 3 y tengo cosas que hacer, ¿sabes? Y aprovecho que la semana pasada estuve con los cursos hasta arriba y no pude, tengo muchas cosas, muchos recados a hacer y quería hacerlos hoy.
Bueno, pues
Es
nada,
que
sí,
si no,
entonces
me
ya
quedo cada tarde aquí y voy abandonando los
otras cosas.
recados míos, ¿sabes? Y el lunes por la tarde en teoría no trabajo.
Ya, ok.
Y,
Sí, ¿no? Entonces mañana, sí, mañana por
y
la
nada,
mañana.
si sale también algún curso a bordo, si sale,
Sí,
hemos hecho alguna propuesta, si sale algún curso en algún barco ya te lo diría. Pero
perfecto.
allí sí que tendríamos que dar de alta 2 o 3 horas, ¿sabes? Porque si pasara algo, lo que sea, ¿sabes? No puedes también entrar en un sitio y eso.
Sí,
Pero bueno,
sí.
la que salga, ojalá.
Ojalá, sí. Y sí, pues justamente te iba a hablar, te iba a preguntar eso, porque a ver, no sé de qué forma, a lo mejor yo también poder, no sé, ayudar para poder promocionar los cursos, porque a mí me viene súper bien, sobre todo ahora más encima que hay que pagar Hacienda, o sea, olvídalo, que tengo entre los dientes la Hacienda, o sea, ya.
Pero tú no te lo descuentan cada mes, lo de Hacienda. No te puedes
Claro,
descontar nada.
me lo
Ya.
descuentan y me descuentan, es que...
Es una crujida, sí.
Claro, es que me descuentan bastante y aún así tengo que pagar, porque claro, como este año ha sido tan especial que hemos tenido verte, no sé qué, no sé cuánto, al final uno tiene que pagar igual. Lo que sí voy a hacer es que lo voy a hacer presencial, a ver si acaso de alguna forma se puede quitar algo, ¿sabes?
Claro, no sé, porque tú tienes alquiler, ¿no? Pagas un alquiler.
Sí, pero el alquiler ya no, ya creo que no lo toman. Lo que pasa es que cuando uno va, si uno lo hace por teléfono, como que no te dan tanta alternativa, pero si uno va presencial, como que no sé, te van preguntando cosas, van rascando a ver si acaso pueden quitarte un poco, y yo creo que si uno va presencial es mucho mejor, porque de
Claro,
seguro...
una gestoría que te lo mirara antes, algún gestor
Sí.
que supiera de rentas que te mire lo que descuenta.
Sí, no es lo mismo hacerlo por borrador que hacerlo por teléfono, no, hay que hacerlo presencial. Entonces creo que a partir del 25 se puede sacar recién hora para hacerlo presencial, pero yo lo voy a hacer.
Imagínate.
Sí, sí.
Vale, pues si quieres gente mañana de 10 a 1, antes de venir me envías un WhatsApp, me dices, estoy viniendo, Maite, ¿vale?
Ya,
Y así
ok.
yo ya no tengo nada mañana, en principio no viene nadie.
Ya, ok. Y te
Y
iba a decir,
miramos también lo de promocionarlo, también conseguir algún sponsor estaría bien.
sí.
Y promocionarlo, esta semana lo voy a poner, Wines Level 2, a ver cuándo lo tenemos puesto. Yo los voy anunciando, los cursos, luego se abran o no, a ver, te digo cuándo está anunciado.
Yo, o sea, bueno, ya te digo que ahora como los horarios van a cambiar, lunes y martes por lo menos estoy todo el día, ¿sabes?
Claro que está bien para hacer el Level 2 también si sale.
Sí. Y te iba a preguntar, porque aparte de las clases de vino, ¿hay algún otro curso que tú veas que a lo
Hombre,
mejor...
yo creo que podrías dar, por ejemplo, el de café, pero están las preparaciones que les hace hacer. El de cigarros me interesa mucho tener a alguien.
De
Y
cigarros?
además es fácil porque tienes que aprenderte las zonas, los cultivos, luego el cutting y el lighting.
Claro, pero eso
es lo
por
más
ejemplo,
importante.
claro, eso por ejemplo, yo lo hice porque yo hice la escuela de sommelier, y en la escuela de sommelier
Por
te
eso
da
que sé que los
clase.
sommeliers muchas veces lo tienen.
Claro, mira, yo tuve clase de servicio de cigarros y habanos,
Exacto, eso es.
de té, de aceite de oliva, de café, pero solamente fue teoría, no fue... Pero eso también lo puedo aprender, o
Puedes
sea,
hacer la teoría del café.
claro.
Lo único, las preparaciones que sí que da un poco de práctica del expreso y 4 o 5 preparaciones.
Claro.
Pero vaya, una parte
Pero
teórica también hay.
Claro, yo creo que eso también, si imagínate el hotel, para los desayunos ahí, no sé cuántito, el maquillaje, no sé qué, no sé cuánto. Es igual, sí. O sea, si tú me dices con tiempo, y Daniela, mira, vamos a hacer esto.
El de cigarros,
yo me
sí, el de cigarros ya te digo que sí. Y además el de cigarros es también 1 horita, 1 horita y media, puedes venir a hacerlo aquí, haces un poco de teoría, el cutting y el lighting, y ya estás, un curso que en 1 hora y media o así se da.
Pues perfecto, pues entonces lo voy preparando.
Sí, yo tengo los apuntes también, luego del pairing tengo bastante, que sabría de pulir un poco, te lo podría pasar, te paso lo que hay y se puede arreglar un poquito más. Los contenidos sí lo puedes dar tranquilamente. Porque
Sí.
tenía el chico que lo daba, Iván, pero se ha ido a trabajar a Estados Unidos.
Sí, ya, ok.
Una cadena de allí. Él era sommelier no de tu nivel, mucho más bajo. No tenía los estudios, pero yo creo que daba servicio de camareros básico de vinos. Y luego cigarros tenía y tenía algo más, pero no me acuerdo. Es coctelería.
Ya, ok. Pero que
De
va de la
cigarros sí
mano.
que el cutting y el lighting lo dominaba más o menos bien y había hecho algún curso de habanos de casa.
Ya, ok. Sí, no, sí, mándamelo, y ahora que aprovechando que tengo
Yo mañana
tiempo.
cuando vengas te lo enseño un poco por encima. Lo vemos y así tú te haces una idea, como hicimos al principio.
Sí.
Y así que salga la semana que viene o la otra, te haces el primero.
Ya, ok, súper. Perfecto. Sí, porque ahí, por ejemplo, también nosotros tuvimos, no sé, lo típico, es que es igual que el vino, denominaciones de origen,
Las zonas, el tipo de hoja que va,
climáticas, correcto, sí.
los colores, la apreciación, que si es más defumada, más largo, más corto, la gordura del todo eso. Al final ellos tienen que saber, no tienen que ser expertos, pero tienen que saber lo importante para ellos cuando estén en el trabajo poder desenvolverse.
Claro. Sí.
Y luego un poco del storage, cómo lo guardan, un poco del care, un poco de la recomendación cuando ofrecen, si el fumador es más experto o menos. y sobre todo el servicio. Y ya está. Con eso van bien.
Ya, ok, perfecto.
Pues venga, ya lo hablamos mañana y me avisas antes de venir, 30 minutos antes, que yo me prepare y ya está, ¿vale?
Ah, ok, ya, súper.
Y te enseño también lo de cigarros y hablamos un poquito.
Ya, ok, súper, perfecto.
Venga,
Ya, pues,
muy
Maite.
bien. Un
Ya,
besito.
muchas gracias.
Chao, hasta
Nos
mañana.
vemos. Hasta mañana.
Hasta
Chao.
mañana. Adeu, adeu.